there, everybody, it's the female Batman here, and today we're starting a new segment, that's right, about conspiracy theories. So today we're going to be looking into the conspiracy theory of a great TV show from when I was a kid back in the 90s, Ed, Edd Eddy. Ed, Edd Eddy has an interesting conspiracy theory to it that suggests that all the kids in the cul-de-sac were dead. Now, if you don't know about Ed, Edd Eddy, it's about three boys who are main characters who live in a suburban cul-de-sac, and they're friends because they all have the same name, Edward. Now, Ed, Edd Eddy, along with the other children in the cul-de-sac, it's said in this theory, are in purgatory. States that everyone in the neighborhood actually died at different time periods and roamed the cul-de-sac and Peach Creek estates and the lands in which they formerly lived. It's actually quite interesting because the TV show was pretty innocent and happy for most of it. And if the kids were actually in purgatory, that's pretty dark. So it states that the first to die was Rolf, who is the son of the shepherd, and he lived with his family on the farm. Now, the farm was actually what the cul-de-sac was before it was a cul-de-sac. He died in 1903 after being trampled to death by a bull who broke out of its cage. He took his farm animals even after death and still takes care of them and his family duties on a daily basis because that's how he grew up. After Rolf, Johnny and his family moved onto the farm that Rolf's family used to own in an attempt to compensate for his lack of friends and the abundance of free time that Johnny had because there still was no cul-de-sac there yet. Johnny created Plank, which was his little wooden board with a face on it. And after years of fighting tuberculosis, Johnny died in 1922 and took Plank with him into the afterlife. Eddie was next, born in New York, and moved to the neighborhood around 1932, as it had begun to form its cul-de-sac-like esque type thing, and many families started moving into that land. This was during the Great Depression, however, so Eddie became a schemer in order to get away from the sad truth that he was living in the Great Depression, which is why money is such a huge thing to Eddie in the show. In 1939, his scheming inevitably brought him to his death when he drowned in a river while trying to run away from a group of children that were trying to get revenge on Eddie after falling for his trickery. The next two deaths were brother and sister Sarah and Ed, who were born in the late 40s when the cul-de-sac started to actually form as a popular pre-planned development that took place in the post-war era. Now, growing up in World War II, they had many different ways of escaping brutal reality, and their mother, who was always at home, who was never at home and always working, and a dead GI for her father. Sarah became controlling in order to let everyone know that she was the one in charge in order to cope with this. Ed shut everybody out by doing things like reading his comics, which were popular in the post-war era, and watching scary movies. Their death was caused by a car accident while driving to their grandparents' house. Naz was a flower child, and she was born in the 60s during the hippie era. Growing up as a beautiful girl, she always flirted with the boys and lived carelessly, just like her parents. However, in the summer of 1979, a serial killer escaped from an asylum close by, broke into Naz's house, and her whole family was murdered. Naz herself was raped and killed. In the afterlife, Naz chose to completely forget about her family, which is why she does anything she wants because she has no direct parental fingers. Double D was born under two controlling parents, and even after his death, they greatly influenced his life, as you can see in the show. He followed their footsteps intellectually, but became rather shy and timid. In 1986, a gas leak occurred while Double D was experimenting in his house, and it caused an explosion which blew him and his house completely to bits, causing his death. Next was Kevin, who was born the day of Double D's death from a drunken and abusive father, which is why we don't see much of Kevin's father, and he becomes a bully. In order to relieve the stress from his father, he bullied the other children. In 1999, Kevin tried to take a stand against his father, but was beaten severely and died while getting transported to the hospital. Kevin altered his dad's personality in the afterlife to be loving and caring, which is why it seems like Kevin is the golden child of his father and always gets all the jawbreakers he wants. Kevin still retains his bullying, though. Jimmy was the last of the kids to die. He joined Purgatory when he died from leukemia in the year 2000. Before his death, Jimmy lived in a house with his overprotective parents who never let him outside to play with the kids. Jimmy stayed in this small bedroom fighting the fact that he had leukemia, and that's why he doesn't really play with a lot of the other kids in the cul-de-sac. Now, this theory states that they're all in purgatory because of the weird ways there's no actual laws of physics in the show. Now, if you've seen the show, you'll see things like explosions and things don't actually kill the Eds, or anyone else for that matter. And there's even an episode where they can take apart the world, which helps to solidify this purgatory, theory. Also, in addition, there's only a few places that you ever see the kids, which is in the cul-de-sac itself, the candy store where they can buy jawbreakers, and at the school, which is probably the only 3 settings that the Purgatory world has created for them. In addition, there are the Kanker sisters who live in the trailer. The Kanker sisters are daughters of the devil in this theory, sent down to torture the lost souls of the children who are in Purgatory. Now, this is why they have the incredible possibility to show up anywhere in an instant and be able to overpower any of the children. It's also why they can grow to incredible sizes in certain episodes, and their insane attraction towards the Eds, who probably have the weakest wills out of all the children in the neighborhood. If you want to see more on the source for this theory, go ahead and check out the link in the below description area, and I hope you enjoyed this theory. Bye!